thinking that entire, she has to do it for the complete week. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I remember it happened with me also once. Like, I remember that I felt I did nothing, but then when I actually went back and tracked or just wrote down some things that I achieved in the week or something, I felt, oh, I did a lot of things, but I was assuming I did nothing because maybe what I felt, I did not count on some things that I really had done. Like, sometimes it happens with me. So I was happily surprised and happy for that.
Right. And sometimes we tend to have a plate which is already full, but we try to be too expectant about ourselves that we want to do beyond. Yes, but then make space. But making space doesn't happen before we actually endeavor to do it. Then there is a mismatch between what you can really do as on a functional basis or a sustainable basis versus what you want to do. So those kind of things is what I've tried to address in this uh, post of uh, about having more of sustainability rather than doing a perfect consistency. So basically, come to your level of consistency that you can have, given your life, given your circumstances, given your routine, given your habits. Then you want to change habits, go for that. Shift goals, go for that. See how you can create a better support system. It's basically a step by step thing that we'll have to do it rather than just labeling that I'm inconsistent. We have to build it as it comes and accept also the realities of life. Yeah. So we have considerable people. Yeah. Yeah, Mansi, you want to
Yeah.
say something?
No, no, no. I agree. I agree. Yeah. We'll start. We'll start.
We'll start. Yeah. So we'll resume reading chapter 3 from this book, which talks about the emotional connection. So far what we have read is emotional connection is important as far as our goals are concerned. Why? Because they drive consistent action. Uh, when we have a strong why to do that, to for our goals, it creates amount of resilience that the motivation doesn't fade, and we will be more likely to uh, achieve the goal that we have planned for. It also says that the goal should be more personally meaningful. If you see, at the end of the day, man is in search of meaningfulness. Basically, he is looking out for meaning in life. So the goals, if aligned with a higher vision, which is holistic in terms of covering all aspects of his life, it is more easier, I would say, because the conflicts in mind, the doubts, self doubts will not come, and you will be genuinely motivated to go ahead with your goals. Yeah. So with this background, we'll continue reading the chapter 3, that is emotional connection. Your brain and vision. The brain is an amazing organ. As David Frost once pointed out, it starts working the moment you get up in the morning and doesn't stop until you get into work. Our brains are wonderful, powerful, and inconsistent. Due to its multiple functions, sometimes your brain can seem to be working at cross purposes with itself. Have you ever felt like your brain was in conflict with itself? If so, you are not alone or crazy. There is some groundbreaking research that explains what you are experiencing and offers powerful insights on how you can use your brain more effectively to live the life you desire. Researchers have found that a portion of the brain, the amygdala, reacts negatively when we are facing uncertainty and risk. This response is quite helpful in avoiding danger and staying alive. Unfortunately, when we imagine the future as being vastly different from today, we experience uncertainty because we don't know how to create and maintain the future we are imagining. When this happens, the amygdala kicks in. That's when the part of our brain that avoids risk gets in our way. It seeks to keep us out of uncertain and risky situations. When you start to envision When you start to envision a future that stretches your comfort zone and is significantly bigger and bolder than what you are currently living, the amygdala tries to shut down the process before you do anything that could be detrimental. That's the bad news. At one level, we are all wired to resist change and postpone greatness. The good news is there is also a portion of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, PFC, that acts as a counterbalance to the amygdala. The PFC lights up when you look out over open vistas, and interestingly, when you imagine greatness for yourself in the future. Scientists can track increased electrical impulses in the PFCs of test subjects when they think about a compelling future. Research has also shown that our brains have a powerful capacity to change. In the past, scientists thought that our brains were essentially static after we become adults, but they now know that the brain can change over time. The areas that we use frequently actually grow in the density of neural connections and in size. This capacity for our brains to change is called neuroplasticity. Here's why it's such a big deal. Your brain has the ability to change and develop physiologically, and it does so based on how you use it. That is good news and bad news. The bad news is that unless you intentionally engage the PFC, you are by default relatively strengthening the portion of your brain that resists change and keeps you stuck. The good news is that you can change your brain simply by what you think about. You have the ability to strengthen and develop your brain by thinking about a compelling future for yourself, by regularly and repeatedly thinking about an inspiring vision where you emotionally connect with the life you desire. And here's what may be the best part. When you think about a compelling vision, the neurons that fire in your brain are the same neurons that fire when you act on your vision. What that means is that you can literally train your brain to act on your vision just by thinking about it. The first step, though, is creating an inspiring vision and learning how to stay connected with it. Tell me, what is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Mary Oliver. Chapter 4. Throughout the annual plan. Once you have a clear vision of where you want to go, you will need a plan to get there. Imagine yourself driving across country on a family vacation without a map. You will probably agree that this is not a good idea. A vision without a plan is a pipe dream. Having a plan to achieve your vision and your professional goals is even more essential than having a map to navigate a cross-country trip. Yet the sad truth is that most individuals spend more time planning a trip than they do planning their business. Working from a plan has three distinct benefits. It reduces mistakes, it saves time, it provides focus. Planning allows you to think through in advance the best approach to achieving your goals. You make your mistakes on paper, which reduces mistakes during implementation. In addition, studies have shown that planning saves significant time and resources. This may seem paradoxical. In fact, many people feel that if they are not constantly doing, they are not productive. The reality is that planning is some of the most productive time you can have. Finally, planning, like a good roadmap, keeps you focused and on purpose. This is vital as there are all kinds of day-to-day distractions to pull you off course. Your plan continually brings you back to the strategically important items. 12-week planning. Like no other approach that we are aware of, 12-week planning delivers these benefits and then some over traditional annual planning. We are not talking about quarterly planning. Remember, that's part of the outdated annualized thinking model. With 12-week planning, every 12 weeks stands alone. Every 12 week is a new year and a fresh opportunity to be great. 12-week planning also offers three additional and distinct differences from annual planning. The first thing that is different with 12-week planning is that it is more predictable than 12-month planning. The farther you plan into the future, the less predictability you have. With long-term plans, assumptions are staked up upon earlier assumptions, which are staked upon even earlier assumptions. If you are that good at predicting the future, call me. I would love to talk to you about your stock picks. The reality is that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to determine what your daily action should be 11 or 12 months into the future. That is why annual plans are generally objective based. With a 12-week plan, predictability is much greater. You can define with a high degree of certainty what actions you need to implement each week over the next 12 weeks. 12-week plans are both numbers and activity based. They create a strong connection between the actions you take today and the results you want to achieve. The second difference with 12-week planning is that it is more focused. Most annual plans have too many objectives, which is one of the primary reasons execution fails. The reason most plans contain so much is because you are planning for 12 months, laying out all the things you want to achieve over the next 365 days. It's no wonder you become delusioned and frustrated. You end up spread too thin and diffused, not a recipe for greatness. There will always be more opportunities than you can effectively pursue. With the 12-week year, the approach is to be great at few things instead of mediocre at many things. In 12-week planning, you identify the top 1 to 3 things that will have the greatest impact and pursue those with intensity. The 12-week plan focuses on few key areas and creates the energy and urgency to act. The third thing that is different with 12-week plans is the structure. In our experience, most plans are written with the unspoken goal of just developing a good plan. Most often, these plans are then placed in a nice binder and rarely get implemented. Setting goals. The whole point of planning should be to help you identify and implement the critical few actions that you need to take to reach your goal. If planning didn't help you execute better, there would be no reason to plan. However, the sad fact is that most plans are not written with implementation in mind. The way the plan is structured and how it is written impacts your ability to effectively execute. Effective planning strikes a working balance between too much complexity and too little detail. Your plan should start by identifying your overall goals for the 12 weeks. The goal defines success for the 12-week year. It represents a great 12 weeks and also represents intentional progress towards your longer-term vision. If you don't know where you are going, you will end up someplace else. Yogi Berra. Once you have established your 12-week goals, tactics will then need to be determined. The easiest way to do this is to break your 12-week goal down to its individual parts. For example, if your 12-week goal is to earn $10,000 and lose 10 pounds, you should write tactics for your income goal and your weight loss goal separately. Tactics are the daily to-dos that drive the attainment of your goals. Tactics must be specific, actionable, and include due dates and assigned responsibilities. We will have more to say on how to write effective tactics a little later in the application section. The 12-week plan is structured so that if the tactics are completed on a timely basis, the goals are achieved. Remember, in order to keep from losing your way with a 12-week focus, you will need to align your 12-week plan to your long-term vision. A 12-week plan is powerful. It allows you to focus on what's important now. Remember that the 12-week plan is not part of an annual plan. That's old annualized thinking. 12 weeks is long enough to getting things done, and yet it is short enough to create and maintain a sense of urgency. For top performers, 12-week plans provides a step-by-step roadmap that eliminates diffusion and delays and demands immediate action. For actual examples of 12-week plans, you can join the 12-week year community. So and so, it's free. Okay. Anyone interested in reading chapter 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. Pranavi here. Chapter 5. 1 week at a time. Long-term results are created by the actions you take every day. Sir William Osler, founder of Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, said that the secret of his success was living his life in day-tight compartments. What he found was that while we plan for the future, we act in the day. To be truly effective, your daily activity must align with your long term vision, strategies, and tactics. In the end, you have greater control over your actions than you do your results. Your results are created by your actions. That is why it is so important to construct plans that are not only numbers based but also identify specific critical activity. The greatest predictor of your future are your daily actions. The physical universe will not respond to your desires, no matter how passionate or intense they are. The one thing that moves the universe is action. As we discussed earlier, vision matters in that it defines the end game and the overall direction you want to go. Vision also provides the motivation to act. But vision without action is just a dream. It is the consistent action that turns a dream into reality. Yeah, this is where progress most often breaks down. Most of us aspire to improve some area of our lives. Whether you want to earn more money, find a new job, meet the right mate, lose a few pounds, improve a relationship, or be a better golfer, parent, or person, desire alone is not enough. It's not enough to have the intention of changing. You have to act on that intention for things to get better, and not just once, but consistently. As the ancient Roman philosopher Lucretius pointed out, the fall of dropping water wears away the stone. Consistent action on the critical tasks need to reach your goal is the key to getting what you want in life. Your current actions are creating your future. If you want to know what your future holds, look to your actions. They are the best predictor of your future. You want to predict your future health? Look at your current eating and exercise habits. You want to predict the health of your marriage? Look at your interactions with your spouse. You want to predict your career path and future income? Look at the actions you take each business day. Your actions tell the story. The weekly plan. An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I repeat, an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. The weekly plan is a powerful tool that translates your 12-week plan into daily and weekly action. The weekly plan is the instrument that organizes and focuses your week. It becomes your weekly game plan. This will keep you on track with your core activity each day. Weekly plans allows you to structure your activities so that you're focused on both the long-term and short-term tasks that are truly important. This allows you to stay focused and productive in the moment instead of getting caught up in all the noise and distractions that easily derail you. The weekly plan is not a glorified to do list. Rather, it reflects the critical strategic activity from your 12-week plan that needs to take place this week in order for you to achieve your goals. The starting point for an effective weekly plan is your 12-week plan. The 12-week plan contains all the tactics you need to execute in order to achieve your 12-week goals. Each tactic has a designed week for completion, and these tactics drive your weekly plan by dictating your daily actions. The weekly plan, then, is simply a derivative of the 12-week plan. Can you please scroll up? In essence, a 1/12th slice of the 12-week plan. To use your weekly plan effectively, you will need to spend the first 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning of each week to review your progress from the past week and plan the upcoming one. In addition, the first 5 minutes of each day should be spent reviving your weekly plan to plan that day's activities. A 12-week year creates greater focus by highlighting the value of each week. With the 12-week year, a year is now equivalent to 12 weeks, a month is now a week, and a week is now a day. When you look at it this way, the importance and power of each day becomes even greater. Your weekly plan enables you to focus your actions and be great at a few things rather than mediocre at many. To ensure that you get the most from your efforts, a weekly plan is a powerful and indispensable tool. Your weekly plan encompasses your strategies and priorities, your long term and short term tasks, and your commitments in the context of time. It helps you focus on the elements of your plan that must happen each week to keep you on track with your 12-week year goals. Your goals, in turn, keep you on track with your vision. Everything is powerfully aligned. To really benefit from this tool, you will need to carry it with you and work from it on a daily basis. Start each day with your weekly plan. Check in with it several times throughout a day. If you have scheduled a tactic to be completed that day, don't go home until it is done. This ensures that the critically important tasks, your planned tactics, are completed each week. Visit our website www.12weekyear.com to see a sample of a weekly plan and the other tools in our Achieved website. The weekly plan, more than any other tool, will help you execute on a daily and a weekly basis, and it will help you to achieve your vision. Yeah, is anyone interested to read?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, please go ahead, Pallavi.
I have to begin from chapter 6.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Chapter 6, Confronting the Truth. Have you ever wondered why sports are so motivating? In fact, not only are they motivating to the players, but also to spectators. Can you imagine people, fan, coming to watch your work, paying for the privilege to see you in action? One of the key reasons sports are so stimulating is that we keep score. Scorekeeping is at heart of competition. We keep track of scores, measurement, and stats to determine success and identify areas for improvement. At any point during the sporting events, every player, coach, and fan knows exactly where their team stands. This information provides a base of knowledge to guide decisions that lead to better performance and success. In other words, scorekeeping lets us know if what we are doing is effective. Too often in business, we fail to keep score, and without some objective measure, we cannot know for certain if we are being effective. Just as in, just as in athletes, measurement drives the business process. In the 1960s, Friedrich Herzberg, an industrial psychologist, set out to determine what motivates people in the workplace. His extensive research identified the top two motivators as achievement and recognition. We contend that the only way to know if you are achieving is through measurement. That can you scroll a bit, please? That the only way to know if you are achieving is through measurement, that is, keeping score. A common misconception is that scoring damages self esteem, but research indicates the opposite. Measurement builds self esteem and confidence because it documents progress and achievement. So true. Measuring results. Scorekeeping functions as a reality check, providing performance feedback and insight into your effectiveness. Effective measurement removes the emotion from the evaluation process and paints an honest picture of your performance. The data is not concerned with effort or intention. It simply focuses on outcomes. We all have a tendency from time to time to rationalize lackluster results. But with effective keeping, we are forced to confront the reality of our situation, even when it is uncomfortable. While this can be difficult, the sooner we comfort reality, the sooner we can shift our action towards producing more desirable results. That is what effective measurement does. It demands our attention and causes us to respond more immediately, increasing the likelihood of success down the road. In God we trust. All other bring data. In God we trust. All others must bring data. W. Edwards Deming. Measurement drives the execution process. It is the anchor of reality. Can you imagine the CEO of a large corporation not knowing the number? It is no different for you and me. As the CEO of your life and business, you need to know the numbers. Measurement provides important feedback that allows you to make intelligent decisions. Effective measurement captures both lead and lag indicators that provide comprehensive feedback necessary for informed decision making. Lag indicators, things like income, sales, commission, dollar, bonds, lost, body fat percentage, overall cholesterol level, represent the end result that you are striving to achieve. Lead indicator are the activity that produce the end result. For instance, the number of sales calls or referral are lead indicators in sale process. While most companies and individual effectively measures lag indicators, many tend to disregard lead indicators. An effective measurement system will have a combination of complementary lead and lag indicators. The most important lead indicator you have is a measure of your execution. Ultimately, you have greater control over your action than over your results. Your results are created by your actions. An execution measure indicates whether you did the things you said were most important to achieving your goals. Keeping in mind that you started with a vision, a compelling vision for of the future that is bigger than the present. Then you establish a set of 12-week goals that are aligned with that vision. For each goal, you develop actions of tactics that describes the steps that you must take to achieve your goals. The element you have the most direct control over is the execution of your tactics. Knowing of what degree you followed through on those tactics is the execution measure. Because your 12-week goals were established in light of your long-term vision, the execution measure also represent progress towards your vision. Having a way to measure your execution is critical because it allows you to pinpoint, break down, and respond quickly. Unlike result, which can lag weeks, months, and in some cases year behind your action, an execution measure provide more immediate feedback, which allows you to make game time adjustment much faster. An execution measure is important for another reason as well. If you're not hitting your goals, you need to know whether it is due to flaw in plan contents or in execution, because there is big difference in how to handle these two breakdowns. A breakdown in a plan content occurs when strategies and tactics are not effective, while a breakdown in execution occurs when you fail to when you fail to fully implement the plan tactics. More than 60% of the time, the breakdown occurs in the execution process, but usually people assume the plan is a fault and change it. This is a mistake because you don't know if the plan doesn't work if you are not working the plan. Effective measurement will help you pinpoint the source of the breakdown so that you can address it head on. In most cases, unless you are executing at a reasonably high level, there is no need to change or adjust your plan. The great thing is that every time you execute, you get feedback. If your action doesn't produce what you expected, you can make necessary adjustment to your plan based on market feedback. But first you must execute the plan. Too often people want to change the plan before they have really executed it. As a general rule, you should really change the plan unless you have been effectively completing your plan tactics and it is still not producing. You could have created an awesome plan, but you will never know unless you actually implemented it. However, if you are executing at a high level and the result you want are not coming, then it is time to go back and adjust the plan. Physics tells us that for every action, there is a reaction. So the good news is that every time you execute, you produce something. It may not be what you expected, but something will happen. This something is market feedback, and it is impossible to effectively adjust your plan without it. Without knowing what tactics you executed, any changes you make will be based purely on guesswork. Truth is only safe ground to stand on. Elizabeth Candy Stanton. Thank you so much.
Anyone would like to read a couple of more pages? Just till the end of this chapter.
If no one is interested, I am there to read. But then, if the other people are interested who didn't get a chance, can please go ahead.
Anyone?
May I? May
Yeah,
I?
please, please.
Just let me know if my voice is audible properly.
Yeah, I think it's breaking a bit, but you read, I'll tell you if it is breaking.
Okay. The best way to measure your execution is to work from a weekly plan based upon your 12-week plan and evaluate the percentage of tactics completed. For the 12-week year plan, we've developed a tool called the weekly scope. If you followed the process thus far, you understand that the weekly plan represents the critical activities that you need to accomplish each week to achieve your overall goals. The weekly scorecard then provides an objective measure of how well you executed your weekly plan. With the weekly scorecard, you measure execution, not results. You score yourself on the percentage of activities you complete each week. We urge you to strive for excellence, not perfection. We have found that if you successfully complete 85% of the activities in your weekly plan, then you will most likely achieve your objectives. Remember that your plan contains the top priorities that will add most value and have the greatest impact. In other words, you only need to be 85% effective on the top priorities to achieve excellence. A word of caution: scorekeeping is not for the faint of the heart. There will be times when you don't execute well and score poorly. People often drop out when they reach this point because they lack the courage to face the reality of their actions. Instead of scoring their performance, they distract themselves with other things that seem important in the moment. With a 12-week year, there is nowhere to look. It shines a light on where you are performing and where you're not. All of us, from time to time, will struggle to execute. The 12-week year plan system forces you to confront your lack of execution. And it's uncomfortable, but it is the very thing that is required if you're going to perform at your best. We call this discomfort productive tension. Productive tension is the uncomfortable feeling you get when you're not doing the things you know you need to do. Our natural inclination when confronted with discomfort is to resolve it. In an effort to do this, people generally go one of the two ways. The easy way out is to simply stop using the system and turn off the light that is shining on your performance vectors. Typically, this takes the form of passive resistance and you putting off scoring your work and tell yourself that you'll get to it later, but later never comes. The other way is to use productive tension as a catalyst for change. Instead of responding to the discomfort by bailing out, high achievers use the tension as an impetus to move forward. If you decide that quitting is not an option, then the discomfort of productive tension will eventually compel you to take action on your tactics. This encourages you to move forward by executing. Please scroll on. Your plan. Even with a weekly score of 65 to 70%, you will do well if you stay in the group. You won't accomplish what you are capable of, but you will do well. It's important to remember that the process is not about being perfect, but rather about getting better and better. Measurement drives the process. Effective scorekeeping is essential if you want to execute well and perform at your best. Take time to establish a set of key measures that include lead and lag indicators. And most importantly, be sure to score your execution. Have the courage to measure your performance. We stop here, right?
Maybe we can go finish this chapter. 3 more pages to go.
Okay. Chapter 7. Intentionality. Everything you want to accomplish in life requires an investment of your time. So when you want to improve your results, you must face the fact that your supply of time is completely inelastic and pressure. Even in the era of rapid innovation and technological advancement, time, more than any other resource, still limits ourselves. When we ask our clients what keeps them from achieving more, most often we hear that it's the lack of time. And yet, time is the most squandered of all personal resources. A study conducted a few years ago by Salary.com found that the average person wastes nearly 2 hours of every working day. the importance of yes and no. The reality is that if you're not purposeful about how you spend your time, then you leave the results to chance. While it's true that we control our actions and not our outcomes, our results are created by our actions. It stands to reason that actions that we choose to take throughout a day ultimately determine our destiny. In spite of the priceless value of time, many people engage each day on its own terms. In other words, they satisfy the various demands of the day as they are presented, spending whatever time is needed to respond without giving much thought as to the relative value of the activity. This is a reactive approach in which the day is controlled by you and prevents you from performing at your best. To realize your potential, you must learn to be more mindful about how you spend your time. Living with clear intentions goes against the powerful natural tendency to be reactive because it requires you to organize your life around your priorities and consciously choose those activities that align with your goals and vision. When you spend your time with intention, you know when to say yes and when to say no. You're probably aware when you are procrastinating or engaging in low-level activity to avoid tackling a less comfortable high way of life. When you use your time intentionally, you waste less of it and spend more of it on your high value actions. But to do this, you must be willing to be disciplined and structure your days. The best way to do this is to use your 12-week plan to drive your activity so that in the end, you set your goals for the day instead of letting the day direct you. Intentionality is your secret weapon in your work on video. It's not enough to be busy. Ask. The question is, what are you busy about? Henry David Thoreau. Does anyone else want to take it or shall I continue?
No, we'll stop here. Yeah, because I think it's only 10 minutes left. Yeah. Thanks everyone for reading. Yeah. So how can we reflect back on what was read today? Anything that struck and resonated? Anything which was new to you? And when anything that was put in a very structured form, which is better in terms of understanding, even though it's nothing new was being discussed. So just share your thoughts.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Pranavi here. The main thing which struck into my mind was generally in books we do read about the to-do lists and the 12-week planner and I mean not the 12-week planner but then the week planner or the quarterly planner and then the annual planner and all. But then here the author has thrown a light on the scorecard, that is the measurement card, and he has given a vivid example relating that with the the cricket game or something like that. I mean, how the audiences would get interested in a particular show is like because they show the score and all that will really motivate the player and as well as the viewers over there. So he was just trying to tell what is the importance of a scorecard. So that was a new point I have learned in a different direction. Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah, scorekeeping is something, which actually, even if it is, the book mentions, it's a reality check. It's a check basis some, goalposts or some, plan that you have drawn, whether you have completed your task, whether you're in the right way, right direction to completing your goal. So yes, it is a reality check, which each one of us, I think, has to have if the execution process has to work well for us. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other point?
So I just want to add. So this book is the one, like, if any of you are aware of Manoj sir, so he has designed a course based on this book, so which is doing right now, design your quarter and all those things. So this is based on this particular book. That is why we have taken this book also, to get in the depth of it. And personally, for me, what except for the score concept, the scorecard concept, everything that we read today, I could relate it with the design course I recently did. So it's from the Stanford professors who are designers, who are product designers. They had designed it, and there we use a lot of creative techniques, actually, creative exercises to think through and mind map and things like that. So many tools are there. But apart from that, few topics that got highlighted over here today, like the intentionality and keeping track of our things. The lead and lag was a new concept to me, so I would love. In fact, the scorecard whole concept was very beautiful, and I loved the part where he said that it's not about the lead. Like, we're just not counting the score, but we are also counting where are we lagging. So and he emphasizes more on execution, which is very true. Like, if we are progressing and if we keep this, it's like about getting creative with the process. So I loved the whole part of it, and could relate with a lot of things in other things that I have been currently working on also. So very relatable and very nice. So loved the reading overall. Yeah, thank you for that.
For me also, it was a repetition, just a reinforcement of what we know. And when I was reading about the scorecard, I remembered something in the Atomic Habits, wherein we were keeping a scorecard of how much you've attained. That is for the habits, how regular you've been. So I was, as the reading was going on, I was uh, associating it with the activity that we did about tracking your habits now. So
Yeah,
there also
and
you're
I
keeping a
also
score.
remember the triggers scorecard that we did
Yeah, yeah.
during that book also. So there are the scorecards in different this thing, but they have different purpose behind it, and maybe we can create something of our own based on how we want to, where we want to progress. Yeah, very true. Yeah, please continue, Sunita.
No, that's what I wanted to share. That that is what came to my mind, and yeah, I agree with what the author mentions over here, that it what can you can improve only what you can measure. So what can be measured can be improved. From that perspective. So if you don't know how you have progressed, or how much you've progressed, you'll not be able to take any corrective action, or we can calibrate as to where you are, and where you want to go and achieve your goals. So yeah, that's all that I mentioned.
Yeah, anyone else? Anything which was relatable, anything which you're already doing well, but just fine tuning has to be done.
Yeah, I want to mention one thing, that if we have, even if we want to have control on our results, we need to have control on the time. So I think that is most powerful for me. Like, we have to mindfully spend our time. We should have full control on our time, like how we are spending it, and we should be not spending like equal time in equal area. Like, we should be spending more time on high important stuff, and then less important. So is more focused about a compelling vision, and master your time to master your life, like that. Yeah. Thank you.
So one more thing that highlighted for me was the his approach, where he talked about it's important that when you are creating a plan, and when we keeping the score, he mentioned that if we are not keeping the score, and then maybe we are it's like facing the reality. And if we give up on keeping the score, that means the plan is not working for us, and if it is not working, something needs to be altered. So that reminds me of this behavioral flexibility from NLP. So that part, and also the other part, like where we actually iterate the part, and even in design thinking methodology, there is this one thing where we create prototypes. Like we create prototypes, like samples of, we create some options, and of that we try and test which is working and which is not working. So it just connected with that, like so we give ourselves permission for it to fail and reiterate it. I think that is a very beautiful part, because then otherwise we just self sabotage ourselves, that we have to, or we're just not doing well, or something like that happens, and we go into that self analysis mode where we feel we are not doing enough, we are not going doing, and we push ourselves. But he's just helping us move beyond that. So that is also one part I liked about the write up today.
Yeah. So is there anything else anybody would like to add from their personal experience?
Yeah. I love the part that we keep on revising our plan without knowing the results, without even beginning the execution. So this thing I found very profound, that before replanning our plans, revising our plan, we should first go for take a first step towards the execution, and then then get the feedback, and then revise the plan accordingly. Yeah.
Right. So basically today, if you see, I think it's more of how instead of annual goal setting, we can have a shorter duration, shorter execution cycle, which avoids that I'll do this tomorrow. A lot of procrastination can be avoided, and a focus can be brought, because there is an urgency that there are only 12 weeks to do this. Also, we can try and use the time that is important to be utilized effectively. The way they have set a system, they have asked us to set a system, is from the vision to planning to process control, score keeping, and then finally taking accountability as to course correct, or course correct or make the required changes so that your goal is achieved. While doing that, we have to break that into plans, which is simple actions, so that it's easier for us to complete it rather than large chunk of actions where it becomes overwhelming. Tactical plans, they are saying, is actionable steps which can be done weekly, monthly, right? Consistency is something which they have emphasized. Somewhere they have also said that if 85% of what you are planned to do, if you are achieving, then you are more likely to achieve your goal. So 100% accuracy, nobody is actually building in. Also, they are asking us to focus on our current action, because that is the that will result into the future outcomes. So if we just focus on our current actions, the decisions that we are making, that will make us understand whether we are towards our goals or somewhere drifting away from the goal. The focus is here to do few things which are important and critical for achieving the goal, rather than doing a lot of things and having too many goals to handle at the same time. The scorekeeping was already discussed in elaboration. What it emphasized is this will help a faster feedback loop, and we will understand that if there is any change or if we are in the right track. It also talked about discomfort, productivity, tension. So naturally, we are made in such a way that naturally we sense discomfort where we go beyond our comfort zone, or where we are trying something new. So generally, our system will stop, and we will go into passive resistance, which will keep us postponing things. But instead, the book says that you also have a possibility to use it as a catalyst to move forward and induce change, or move ahead in the required direction. So I think this natural tendency will have to be overcome by building proper intentions and setting proper priorities. Now, while setting priorities, you'll have to say yes to some things and no to many of the things as well. So when we have a clear plan, goal, and also the tactics that they call, the details of the actionable part of the plan, you will understand what you have to do and what you don't have to do. So then you can actually say yes and no very confidently and with more clarity and with a deeper understanding that this is what you want to do because you want to achieve the goal. So that is all I could sum up in today's reading, right? So again, it comes back to reflection. We have to reflect on our week, month, or whatever, so that we understand how things are progressing and go on the right path. Anyone else wants to add something to this?
I also got a new point about the predictability of the plan. Generally, authors do keep saying that it's better you go for the quarterly and then the week planner and all. But the basic reason is been highlighted very well, telling that the predictability will be less the more you go for the annual planning and all. So if if it is within our control, like maybe it's like if it's for 12 week or 1 week, we can at least predict to a certain extent. We can schedule our daily activities as per that particular few days. If it's kind of yearly, the predictability will be less, and it will not be imprecise. So that's another thing I've learned.
Yeah, great point you have highlighted. So basically, it's more of a convincing strategy, how you convince ourselves more better, so that the plans that we lay are more actionable and to closer to reality as to what we are working with, right? Yeah, very valid, and it makes us, not look for motivation, but just, helps us carry on with the action points rather than waiting for something to trigger us. Yes. Right. So thanks for your time today. So if there are no further discussion points, then we can close it for the day and then resume tomorrow.
All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.